He is the most worshipped god in Norse mythology, the son of Odin, the protector of mankind, the god with a hammer that could flatten mountains and call lightning from a clear sky. And he lost, not in some minor skirmish, not against a trick or a trap, in a battle that the Norse people believed would define the fate of everything. Thor fought, swung Mjolnir with everything he had, and took 9 steps, then fell. Today, we are going inside that battle, the one the Skalds called inevitable, the one Thor knew he could not win, and walked into anyway. Because the real story of Thor is not about his power. It is about what he was willing to die for. Before we get to the battle, there is something most people miss about Thor entirely. Not about his strength, not about Mjolnir, about why he exists. We will come back to it, and when we do, it will completely reframe everything you thought you knew about his death. The real Thor, not the Marvel version, is described in the Eddas as the most physically powerful being in the 9 worlds. Not the wisest, not the most cunning, the strongest. He wields Mjolnir, forged by the dwarves Brokkr and Sindri, so heavy only Thor can lift it, and only because he wears iron gauntlets called Jörmungandr, and a power belt called Megingjörð that doubles his already impossible strength. Take the belt off. Thor cannot pick up his own weapon. That detail matters. Remember it. The Norse did not worship Thor primarily as a weather god. They worshipped him as the god of order. Every rumble of thunder was a signal across the 9 worlds. The monsters are held back. You are safe tonight. Farmers invoked his name before planting, sailors before crossing open water, warriors before battle. He was not distant like Odin. He showed up. And Ragnarök is the story of what happens when he shows up for the last time. Ragnarök is not just a battle. It is the end of a cosmic cycle. The Norse believed in the universe that dies and is reborn. Ragnarök, doom of the gods, is the death phase, and it does not arrive without warning. The Völuspá, the oldest complete account of Norse cosmology, lays out the signs in order. First, Fimbulwinter, 3 consecutive winters with no summer between them. Crops fail. The social order collapses. The text describes a world where brother kills brother before a single god has fallen. Second, the chains break. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf bound by the magical fetter Gleipnir, snaps free. Jörmungandr releases his tail and rises from the ocean floor. When he surfaces, the sea floods the land and his breath poisons the sky. Third, Loki escapes imprisonment and sails to the battlefield on Naglfar, a ship built entirely from the fingernails and toenails of the dead. The Norse trimmed their nails before death specifically so they would not contribute to its construction. Every faction converges on the plain of Vigridr, described as stretching 100 leagues in every direction. The gods knew this was coming. Odin had spent centuries preparing. Valhalla, the Einherjar warriors, the daily training battles where warriors killed each other and came back to life over dinner. All of it built specifically for this day. They trained for a battle they knew they would lose. Every god had a written fate. Odin versus Fenrir, Freya versus Surtur, Tyr and the hound Garm killing each other simultaneously. Thor's fate: kill Jörmungandr, walk 9 steps, fall. He had always known. He showed up anyway. Here is what I told you we would come back to. Thor and Jörmungandr were not strangers. They had met before, multiple times, and every encounter was stopped before it could finish, as if the universe was deliberately saving the conclusion for one specific moment. The fishing trip. From the Himiskvidr in the Poetic Edda. Thor convinces the sea giant Hymir to take him fishing. He baits his hook with an ox head and drops it into deep ocean. Jörmungandr takes it. The serpent is hauled to the surface. The World Serpent, whose body encircles all of Midgard, pulled into open air, staring directly at the god of thunder. The Prose Edda describes what happens next with unusual weight. Both of them locked in total mutual recognition. Not surprise, recognition, as if each had been waiting for exactly this. Thor raises Mjolnir. Hymir, terrified, cuts the fishing line. Jörmungandr sinks back. Thor, by some accounts, punches Hymir overboard in pure fury. The kill was right there. Someone else's cowardice took it away. During Thor's visit to the hall of Utgarda-Loki, the master of illusions, Thor is challenged to lift a cat from the floor. He gets one paw off the ground and cannot manage more. The entire hall goes silent with terror. At the end, Utgarda-Loki reveals the truth. The cat was Jörmungandr in disguise. One paw off the floor bent the boundary of the world. The serpent cried out. Thor had come closer to killing it in that moment, without knowing what he was even touching, than anyone in the room could process. Both encounters follow the same pattern. Thor gets close, something interrupts. The mythology is clearly building toward one complete, uninterrupted meeting. Ragnarök is where the interruption finally does not come. When the final day arrives, the battles begin simultaneously across Vigridr. Odin charges Fenrir and is swallowed whole. His son Vidar tears the wolf's jaws apart with his bare hands and drives a blade through the roof of his mouth. Freya fights Surtur with a stag's antler. He gave his sword away for love and loses, but holds long enough to matter. Tyr and Garm kill each other at the same moment. Thor walks toward the coast. Jörmungandr is already there. The air is already wrong. The serpent's venom has been releasing since it surfaced, thick and dark, corrupting every breath on the battlefield. Thor has been breathing it the entire time. He walks forward anyway. The Prose Edda account of the fight itself is spare, almost deliberately quiet for something this large. There is no extended blow-by-blow, no speech. Thor strikes, Mjolnir connects, Jörmungandr dies, and Thor walks. 1, 2, 3, 4. The venom is already inside him, entered through skin, through lungs, through every moment of proximity to the creature. Mjolnir is still in his hand. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 10th step, Thor falls. The Velaspar records it without embellishment. No famous last words. The god of thunder kills his enemy, walks as far as he can walk, and goes down. Now remember Megingjörð, the belt that doubles Thor's strength. Here is what almost no one talks about. If the belt doubles his strength, then everything Thor does in every myth, every giant crushed, every monster killed, every impossible feat recorded in the Eddas, that is half of what he actually is. Nobody knows what Thor looks like at full capacity, because he never took the belt off in battle. Now consider what he killed. Jörmungandr does not simply live in the ocean. Its body is the boundary of the world. When it releases its tail and rises, the ocean floods not because of waves, but because the structural edge of Midgard ceases to function. Thor, at half strength, wearing a belt, kills it. The Norse were not presenting 9 steps as failure. They were presenting it as perfect sufficiency. Thor's power is calibrated exactly to complete the kill, not to survive it, to complete it. The 9 steps are not a symbol of weakness. They are a symbol of precise design. He was made to do exactly this, no more, no less. Most channels stop at the death and call it tragedy. The Völuspá does not. After the earth burns, after Surtur's fire consumes what remains, the poem describes the earth rising again, green, clean, silent. Waterfalls still running, eagles circling, fields growing grain with no one to sow them. Balder returns from hell. The sons of the fallen gods gather on the new grass and talk about the old world. 2 humans, Leif and Leifthraser, life and life's desire, emerge from Yggdrasil, where they sheltered through the destruction, and repopulate the world. A new sun rises, the daughter of the sun that was swallowed during Ragnarök, for the very first time.